What's going on YouTube? I am back after getting the blue screen of death on my old computer. I just got a new one, so I'll be able to start making more videos. This one is a little overdue. It is the massive 133 trainer regionals tournament held by the West in Arlington, Texas. It was outstanding and very well done. Um, the West did such an amazing job. I can't even say enough. As a host of a tournament myself, I doubt I could pull off something this amazing. But um, big news for the Northwest Raiders. I got in contact with iDream88. He was one of the hosts, if not the host, for this tournament. They made some team jerseys that look amazing. Here they are here, and they just look phenomenal and very well done. They're a esports style of jersey, and with getting in contact with them, I wanted to make something for the Northwest Raiders to get us looking official, and he sent me a rough prototype, and I'll bring that up right here. And they are a prototype, so disregard the same team logo on all the shirts. It will have the team specific logo and a custom player name. This is the front of the shirt. The back will be pretty similar to the West. If you want to rewind the video a little bit and check those out, it'll have the Sylph Arena logo and a bigger custom player name. And if you're interested in that, hit me up on Discord and I'll give you some more details for it, or how much damage foul play did. It does a decent chunk, but nothing super bad. So now I got some stored up energy. I'm ahead of Pokemon. I'll technically have switch advantage. He brings in the Zoomerol. I'm gonna probably just stick it out and just do as much damage as I possibly can to the Zoomerol before bringing my own second Pokemon. I get off my fourth power-up punch here. I decide to go for the power-up punches over the Ice Punch because both of them will be resisted, but with the power-up punch, you're getting same type attack bonus, so it's a little better in my opinion. He decides to go for a charge move right here. I probably would have just waited and saved that energy, knowing that I would be able to feign it down with just fast moves. Deciding what to go here, I decided to bring my Zoomerol just to save my Lantern for kind of a surprise. He switches into Altaria, which is not really a good thing to do versus a Azumarill, just because Azumarill basically deletes Altaria. So here we're just kind of, playing the dance. He's doing whatever charge moves he can to weaken me, and I know that I can tank most of his charge moves for a while, so I decided not to use any shields. He's out of shields now, so this Ice Beam is going to really hurt his Altaria. Does a really good chunk of damage, and now I decide just to feign it down with the quick moves. I still have one shield. I'm in a very good position, especially with that Lantern in the back. With the energy that I saved up, I go for that play rough, and I do believe this will be the end of the first round. Oh, and I'm wrong. So I go ahead and use my shield, trying to keep that Lantern a surprise, and have him kind of questioning what I would have in the background if I brought a counter to something else, or if he should try to switch up his team. Round 2, I decide to go with basically the same team, but switching my lead. He starts Umbreon again. I knew that my Medicham was the key in this match, so I kind of wanted to protect it mainly, so I decided not to shield here and just let my Lantern do whatever it can do without switching into my Medicham, so I don't give up switch advantage. So I get to the Thunderbolt, I launch it. I'm do horrible at these mini games because I try to just make spinny circles in the middle of the screen so that no matter what charge move I'm using, my opponent will be thrown off a little bit if I'm doing the same motions all the time rather than certain motions and that they can read and know what charge move's coming. So I believe I get to the second Thunderbolt and go for it right away because I'm about to feint out. Not sure if he shields this or not. He decides not to, so I get his Umbreon with my Lantern. So now I'm up a Pokemon and I'm not losing switch advantage. So he brings out the Tyranitar just to feint out my Lantern, which is fine with me because now I have my Medicham, and the Tyranitar just falls so quickly to Medicham that I feel a little bad. He decides to shield there, even though with 2 more counters, I take it out. He's down 1 shield, and I still have a half health Medicham. The Alolan Muck is gonna take neutral damage from these fighting type moves because of the poison type. So even though it's neutral, I'm still hitting really hard. And now that he's out of shield, I decided to go for the Ice Punch, even though technically the Power Up Punch would still be a better option because of the same type attack bonus and being neutral. Since this was round 2 and I felt super comfortable, I decided not to shield there and just bring in my Azumarill for the knockout. Round 2, we have McCoggins. I believe that's how you say it. My bad, guy, if I got it wrong. I'm terrible with names. From looking at his team, I believe I thought Lantern would be pretty decent. The Skarmory is going to be really good. And I get in a semi-favorable matchup. This is really on how you play and how you shield. They had a little bit of lag in the beginning, but they didn't say anything, so I just rolled with it and was able to get to my charge attack first. They decided to shield that first one. I'm not going to shield, I think. I could be wrong. It's been a while since we played this. Took a while to get the computer, but I don't shield. The Sky Attack isn't going to do all that much damage because it is resisted by the steel typing of Skarmory, whereas the Altaria is taking neutral from Sky Attack all the way around because Dragon type does not resist flying. So he decides not to shield there. I shield here just so I can take his Altaria out with my Skarmory and keep the switch advantage. So I believe I'll get to this Sky Attack and either take his last shield or take out his Altaria, letting me keep the switch advantage. He decides not to shield, and so now whatever he brings out, I'll just let it feint down my Skarmory and be able to counter it better. I was trying to get to that Sky Attack. It would have been pretty cool, but I wasn't able to. I didn't have the best choices versus this Tropius because both Pokemon I have are going to be weak to it. I didn't know how much damage the Leaf Blade would do to Medicham, so I decided to block it. He gets to a second one pretty quick. I don't know how much energy stored up versus a Skarmory. I don't block it. It does a pretty good chunk. I decided to go for the Ice Punch. If I would have went for Power Up, he might have blocked it and I'd still get the Power Up, but most people don't block the first one, which he did, so good play on him. I'm out of shields here, so I believe he's going to feint down my Medicham, which he does, which leaves me with my Lantern. And I'm not in a good spot right now. I have no shields, and Lantern's super weak to this Leaf Blade. I believe it basically takes me down to half health or lower just with one, so I know I can't take another one of those. So I launch off this Thunderbolt as soon as I can, but I still don't believe it's going to be enough. His third Pokemon I'm sure is going to have more than enough to take me out, which it is a Bastiodon. And even though it gets kind of close to me getting to my Hydro Pump, which might have put me in a little bit of a better standing, I wasn't able to get there before he got to his charge move, which will easily take out my Lantern. So we do lose round one. So going into round two, I start off Azumarill against his Altaria, which is a fantastic lead for me because Azumarill can tank pretty much anything that Altaria can throw at it. Um, Normally, I try to switch out pretty quick if I'm ever in the opposite position, just because these ice beams charge up so fast and deal a lot of damage to Altaria. He goes for his charge move, and at this point, I'm thinking he's going to do a quick switch after the charge move. I decide not to shield because I knew that I could take whatever charge move it was. He goes into his Tropius. I try to switch, I don't get it, but then switch again, and I'm finally able to get that switch. I seem to be dealing with a lot of switch errors, which really I'm just not waiting for the quick move to finish its animation before trying to switch. So that's why I keep getting these late switches. I knew this Tropius couldn't do a whole lot to my Skarmory, so I try not to shield anything. I'm going to use this Aerial Ace. It should be able to take it down if it's not shielded, and if it is shielded, then I get his last shield. So he decides not to shield. I take out the Tropius, and he brings in Bastiodon. Now at this point, Skarmory's done what I've needed him to, so I'm not too worried about losing my Tropius or my Skarmory here. So I go for the Flash Cannon. It does a little more damage for than the Sky Attack. Um, for some reason, he decided to shield. Uh, Normally, you don't want to shield at all against a Bastiodon, or against a using a Bastiodon against a Skarmory. Bringing my Metacham, this is a really good match. I get the switch glitch, so I'm able to just play it out. No need to restart or anything. I'm in a good enough advantage. I decided to shield just to save as much health on my Metacham as possible, even though Bastiodon's charge move don't do a whole lot to Metacham. Use a power up punch now that my switch glitch is gone, and I'm almost at another ice punch. He has no shields, so I know he won't be able to block this, and a powered up ice punch will really hurt a Altaria. So it knocks him down, almost fainting him out, but I figured I'll be able to get to another charge move before he would. So I get to my power up punch, and this should be enough to take it out, which it is. So that's round two, and we'll be heading into round three. So the match is 1-1. I start off Skarmory, and I call it correctly. He starts off Tropius. So this is another great lead for me. It's the reason I brought my Skarmory. So he decides to stay in with it, and that's fine with me because it's not going to be doing a whole lot of damage to my Skarmory. Not going to shield here. I'm figuring he's going to go for another quick switch, which he does. I'm going to try to keep the energy on my Skarmory and just switch out into my Metacham. Anytime that you have to switch into a Bastiodon is never really that good, because if they have Metacham, they're gonna bring it, and there's just not a whole lot you can do. So I think normally at that point you should just know that your Bastiodon's going down and not shield it and save those for other Pokemon. So I blocked his charge move just to preserve the HP on Metacham, get off a second power up punch, and I believe he doesn't block this. He does, so he just wasted both of his shields, and I'm now in a Pokemon advantage, a energy advantage, shield advantage. So I go for this ice punch. It is a double powered up ice punch with no shields on his side, so this should be enough to almost knock it out. Um, I still have the Skarmory in the back, so I'm in a really good spot. I get off this ice punch, and I believe this is going to be enough to take it out. So we end up getting round 2 and 3. So match 3, I got matched up against Curtado Chip, and I do have to apologize to him because I lost the second and third video clip for a match, so I only have this first one. I did end up winning. It was a great 3 matches. He starts off Lucario, I start off Skarmory. I'm at a semi-advantage at this point. I brought Skarmory because I knew it would be able to beat or wear down pretty good the Venusaur, Lucario, and Medicham and do pretty good in a mirror match. So I figured it was a pretty safe lead, even though he's pretty close to taking it out, which he does right there. I bring in my Sableye, and now I'm taking reduced damage from his counters. I get the switch glitch, so not able to use any charge moves, so I just have to save up energy. I believe it goes away on the switch, but I guess not. Oh, there it goes. And so now I start firing off all the stored energy that I have. I foregoed bringing, what's his move? Rock Slide. His rock charge move, but for the quick sneak attack, just to deal with the fighting types and possibly other ghost types. And so now we're just playing it out. I'm going to be able to take out his Skarmory with my Sableye, which I'm completely happy with, trading Pokemon. And it's going to bring it down to our last 2 Pokemon. He has Medicham, as do I, except I have 2 shields to back up my Medicham. So I should be in a little bit of an advantage here. Medicham with 2 shields can normally take out just about anything. The first power punch isn't going to hurt that bad, so I decided not to shield and just go for power up punches of my own. I'm not the greatest at the fighting type charge move minigame, so I normally do get great. I've got excellent a couple times, but I really need to work on it. I decided to shield the second one just because I figured if I could get off another power up punch and an ice punch, it should be game. Playing the mini game, and now at this point I knew I could go for the ice punch. He's definitely in kill range. Probably even if I used the power up punch, it'd be enough. Shield a second, just because if it was ice punch, might have been enough to take me out. Not 100% sure. If you know, maybe leave it in the comments. So I go for the ice punch. It's enough to take him out, and I get the round 1. And we'll move on to my match 4. Moving on to match 4, I get paired up with Arrow. He actually did go 8-0 in this tournament. His team is pretty unique. Triple water, triple flyer. It was a very good mind game team because you didn't know what kind of combo he was going to run, and there were so many good possibilities with this team. I decided to start off Medicham just to try to do as much damage as I could. I go ahead and shield the Leaf Blade. I wasn't sure exactly how much damage it did to Medicham, and I figured if I could get Sneaky Ice Punch in there, I might be able to knock out his Tropius. So here we're just barely get off that Ice Punch, and we'll see if he shields it using his last shield or lets it go through. He decides to shield, so now he is out of shields, and I am up 1 shield. I bring in my Skarmory. He switches into his own. I try to switch to Azumarill, but it won't let me, so I decide just to do a quick switch. I go for the Sky Attack, miss a bubble, and then go for the switch, but he had his charge attack queued up already, so it wasn't letting me. So once he gets into his animation, I pull the switch, and with the ice beams and on a pretty neutral energy field, I should be able to take out his Skarmory pretty easily. So play the little ice minigame, just a bunch of fallen bubbles. The ice beam does pretty good damage to Skarmory even though it's neutral. Um, and his Sky Attack is going to do some good damage, but not really enough to be all that scared of. He switches out into his Tropius. Now I knew he had Leaf Blade on it, so I decided to shield, because that would really hurt my Azumarill. And I go for the Ice Beam. This should be enough to take out his Tropius, especially in the state that it's in. So he's going to bring back his Altaria, which I should be able to get to an Ice Beam. And this should really hurt his Altaria. And that's a nice little trade. I was thinking I could possibly get to another Ice Beam if he didn't use any charge attacks, but he decided to waste one. And now we have my Skarmory versus his Altaria. I knew I'd be taking resisted damage from it, so I figured I could charge up for whenever he brought his Skarmory back out. And he had stored energy, so at this point I was kind of thinking it was over, but I've learned never to assume. So I'm able to get off my Sky Attack, which is going to be enough to take round one. And oh, he had just a sliver of health on his Altaria, so it comes out and instantly faints. Starting round two, I decided to switch it up a little bit. Started my Skarmory, which turned out to be a bad decision because he started Lantern. So I knew this was a pretty bad situation for me, so I decided to switch into my Medicham, but again getting switch errors. So I go for the quick swap after using my charge move. Sky Attack is not going to deal a whole lot of damage to Lantern, so I guess I didn't decide to swap. Really bad mistake on my part. Could have been a whole lot different if I had. Medicham does pretty good against Lantern, so I figured it was basically the best option that I had. Missed a couple bubbles on that fighting minigame, but I do get the power up and decide to block his charge attack just to preserve as much health on Medicham as I can, because I figured if he had flying in the back, it would be my best chance. He brings his Azumarill. I decided to go for the mirror match because I knew that being a shield down, Medicham wouldn't be able to take out the Azumarill, especially if he had Play Rough on it. But he doesn't. He has Hydro Pump. So I should be able to take this mirror match, because for the mirror you really want to have Play Rough. He decides not to shield, so we're just hitting each other with bubbles, doing very, very minimal damage. I'm able to get to a Play Rough before he can get to another Hydro Pump. Hydro Pump normally takes one more bubble than a Play Rough, so you can get to it a little sooner. I thought about shielding here. Can't believe I didn't, but I think if I had, he might have started shielding a little more on his Azumarill. I believe he goes for the Ice Beam right at the same time I do, and he got charge move priority. So I'm not going to shield. If it takes me out, then Medicham can come in and store up a little bit of energy, but it barely leaves me with any health, so I'm able to get off my Ice Beam, which should be enough to take it out. So he's going to bring in probably Lantern or Skarmory, which will easily take me out. I do have a powered up Medicham with energy, so this should be the second power up punch. He decides to shield. If Skarmory can get to one unblocked Sky Attack, it is over. And since I had a shield, I figured why not use it and play this out to the very end. He has one more shield. Now I should be able to get to another power up punch before he gets to a Sky Attack, but since he didn't block that one, I do believe he'll have enough health to take me out. Just barely don't get to that second power up punch before he can get to his charge move. So that is round 2. This team was very hard to play with. I do believe in this one we had a bit of lag issue, so I think we did restart. I know I went for a sneaky ice punch, but I think in the rematch he decided to block it afterwards, even after not blocking it in this one. I switched to my Skarmory, and he goes for the switch into his. We have the lag. Even though it was mutual, I think he asked for a rematch. I don't know if I put that in this video or not. There it is. So we're gonna start this match over. So starting the rematch, I decided to have the good sportsmanship and basically play it out the same way that it went before. Although I do believe he actually shields my first ice punch. So we're gonna go for the ice punch, and he ends up not shielding. So I switch into Skarmory, he switches automatically, and now we're just playing the mirror match. I'm pretty sure I have switch priority at this point, so I'm able to get off my Sky Attack right before his. And then he's going to launch off his. I decided not to shield because he didn't, so I'm kind of going to play it by ear, as they say. Just going to copy the shields and possibly try to win this mirror match. I do miss that bubble there, and he is probably a little better at the charge moves than I am, so I will be taking just slightly more damage from his Sky Attack. I do shield there, trying to just get a little bit of HP advantage. I go for the Sky Attack that, if it lands, it should be enough to finish off his Skarmory, leaving me with a little more health and not as much energy, but he does decide to shield and goes for his own attack. He had saved up a little more energy than I was using, so he went for the Flash Cannon, which is going to be enough to take me down with one more charge move. As you saw, I brought Venusaur in this match because I thought he would have brought a couple more water type, and the Venusaur would have helped me out a lot, but it was basically what led to my defeat. As you'll see here in a second, I end up with a Venusaur versus Altaria, which is not a matchup that you want to be in. So it's game's gonna go to him. It was a great game, and congratulations to him for winning the whole thing. If I went for a ice punch here, it might have been a little different, but I didn't know what it was gonna be. So at this point, I told him GG's and basically just tapped my heart out, trying to hang on for dear life. He still had a shield, I believe. I think the sky attack will be enough to take out my Venusaur. He did still have a shield, so even if I got to the ice punch, it would have been over.